The first thing I want to say, though, is that I'm not guaranteeing a specific result. Every client, every woman that I work with, myself included, like, we are all individual souls. And while I can have all the repeatable methods and frameworks, and there are certain things that I always lean on, like the erotic and shadow work and somatic body sensation work and kink and mindset work and identity work and all that stuff. Like, I have my core pillars that I always weave in with my clients or teach step by step in every single container and program. There is no way to know what a person's individual soul needs in that season and cycle. So I can never guarantee results for sure what it's going to look like. But I do know, and one of the things I'm going to share with you will speak to this more. So there's no guaranteeing like, oh, just because you say you want to sign up and make six figures that you're going to. Do I have clients that happens for? Absolutely. Every client who signs up to work with me or joins a container, I believe that she's always going to get exactly what she needs and what her soul needs at that time. And at the same time, you will always have results because of what I'm going to share with you. So the first thing is we always bring in ritual and ceremony. We use ritual to initiate, to facilitate, and to sustain change. So we might do like one-time big rituals, but it's also about your everyday rituals. So every client is different, but there tend to be specific rituals that, depending on what they're working towards, their goals or their desires. You know, I have clients who come to me because they want to make more sales in their business. They want to experience more exposure and attention online. They want to make more money. They want to feel differently with money. They want to stop stressing about money or struggling with scarcity. They have certain patterns in their money. I have clients who come to me because they want to focus more on the erotic and their sexuality, or they want to learn practices like sex magic. Or, you know, they just like, there's something that, tangibly they want to experience, but they know that the pathway, they want it to be filled with pleasure and kink and eros and all of the juiciness. But we use ritual. And whenever I lead a client through a ritual or I record rituals that my clients can then listen to, the ritual is always intentionally charged. Like, my rituals are designed for transformation. The ritual is designed with this energy and infused with this energy of, when you do this ritual, it is going to initiate change, transformation. And we're always working with the soul, working with the eros, working with your desires, working with your heart, working with your body. It's all like cohesive, and we honor ego desires as well in my world because that's important. But the rituals that we do, both those kind of like bigger rituals like sex magic, or I teach a lot of themed rituals. You know, it's like, if you want to tap into consistent cash months, we have rituals for that. If you want to get kinky with your like unconscious dark feminine shadows, we have rituals for that. But the everyday rituals also matter. So one of the first things I look at with a long-term client, or if someone is doing a course of mine, is we get clear on what are the everyday rituals that you're currently doing that serve you, that you want to keep. Are there maybe some behaviors or patterns that are unconscious, habits that we can then turn into a more conscious ritual that is actually going to be in service of what you want to experience, who you want to be, how you want to feel. But we use both everyday rituals and, you know, if I'm working with a client one-on-one, we are doing ritual together because we're using that as a way to anchor in the change, anchor in the desires, anchor in the results that they want to experience. And, you know, whether it's the theme of the ritual itself, but obviously as a sex coach, as a witch, a lot of the work that I do with my clients around results is, let's do some sex magic. I'll lead you through this practice, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, if it's one-on-one, there's more space for customization, and none of the rituals ever look the same, because I'll have a client show up for session and they're like, well, I'm really, you know, tuning into this energy of being able to hold all of the good things that are going on in my life right now. And can we do ritual around that? And so the ritual itself will be focused on their capacity to hold and fully receive and revel in and actually have and enjoy all of the good things that are happening in their life. The money, the clients, the love, the pleasure, the sex, whatever it be. I've worked with several clients who moved into a new home and really needed to anchor and settle into their new home and really just own, like, yeah, it's really this good. So we use ritual as a way to tap into what is coming up for me right now, what's most alive, or rituals that are designed, like if someone is joining one of my money programs, for example, I have them put very specific money rituals into place, like a sexy money date where they track their income and expenses, or money, sex, magic rituals where they are bringing in the feeling of the amount of money that they want to make and the feelings associated with into their body so that it feels real now. So this is one of the ways that gets my clients results, is that they start practicing feeling those results, visualizing those results, feeling the feelings that they think will come with those results, and just setting up this, like, to me, it's about initiation and a portal of like, I want this, so I'm going to use ritual as a way to claim it. Sexy money date. That's one of the rituals that I teach my clients, and it's amazing. So ritual, everyday rituals, bigger rituals, deeper rituals, all the things. But ritual is so powerful because it shifts you out of the everyday kind of mundane mindset into the most powerful part of you. It shifts you from mundane to extraordinary and magical. And especially because we're doing erotic ritual, like not every ritual that I lead clients through is always like sexy and kinky and orgasmic. Oftentimes it is. But sometimes, they're crying or thrashing around, or they're processing, or it's inner child healing stuff, or they're just lying there in stillness, feeling and breathing, or whatever it is. But the erotic coming into the ritual, being a part of it, also shifts into a completely different state of consciousness. And when you do a powerful ritual that helps you feel that next level version of yourself that you're stepping into and feel it as real now, it creates this like powerful vortex of energy around you. And then from that state, you come into a more powerful, grounded, open state. It oftentimes regulates your nervous system and connects you to the most powerful, magical, erotic, creative version of yourself. And then after ritual, I always invite my clients to take like one baby step towards their desire. And when you do that consistently, you're going to have results. So that's the first piece, is ritual and ceremony. The second piece is that every client that I work with, because we're human, and I also, again, am applying all of these to me and have been for the past like 10, 11 years that I've been doing these things, is every client has shadows and unconscious fears and desires and patterns. We all do. Patterns are formed in our nervous system, and it's what is familiar. So oftentimes something that is familiar for a long period of time in our life, or from childhood specifically, things repeat because they are comfortable and they're familiar. So we actually address patterns where they originate in the nervous system, in the body. And when we do this work, we're working with our body sensations, we're working with the nervous system. And this is what I find is often missing in the personal development world, is we are trying to like have big change, but we don't actually know how to do it in a way that is sustainable and actually honors the human body. Because the rituals and the work that I do with my clients are designed to create safety with your humanity, like to help your animal body, your nervous system, feel safe with change, feel safe having those results, and at the same time, connect you to your divinity. That's what ritual also does, is it connects you to the most divine, powerful part of you, the goddess within you, right? The one who is capable of anything. It connects you to the quantum, whatever you want to call it. It connects you to the unseen realm where anything is possible. The quantum, the unseen realm, like the world of desire, whatever you want to call it, it's all available for you when you tap into that energy. So when we're doing this work to address patterns in the nervous system level, that means that we're actually creating sustainable change because we're bringing the body along for the change. And I've experienced this, and I've had clients experience this firsthand, where if we didn't allow our nervous system to come along for the change, it kind of blows us out. We have burnout. It feels like a fluke, or our body kind of retaliates and shuts down. For me, I've definitely had big results happen that my nervous system, like the patterns themselves, and this has happened a lot with money. Money and sex are two of my biggest teachers, which is why I also offer this work to my clients, because I've been doing it myself for over 10 years now. So I'm very well versed in all of it. But some of the biggest patterns in my money, for example, I hadn't really addressed them from anything beyond just mindset. And this is why, yeah, we do mindset, we do journaling and things like that, but it doesn't just stop there or start there. We really go into like somatic, erotic, body-based practices in my world. Breath, touch, sound, movement, somatic movement. We go into the body to address and rewire your patterns in your nervous system and release stored stress, which can also be something that's creating patterns in your life. Is times in your life in the past that were traumatic, where it was stress, like a stress response that did not ever get fully processed, and so it's looping in your body trying to find resolution. We clear that energy like that through things like breath work and other integration techniques and kink and things like that. So we're actually addressing these patterns where they start and where they're formed. And for me, with the money piece, it was like, I would make money and then I would spend it, because that was a pattern familiar to me from childhood, and it was in my nervous system. So if I was only doing mindset for a while, right? Like, oh, I'm so rich and I make money and all these things, like all the mindset, which is great. We want to change our beliefs. It does matter. But especially if you've experienced a lot of trauma, especially if you have experienced, like if you have a lot of stored stress in your body and you tend to either be in fight or flight mode, stuck on, like you feel stressed all the time, or you feel like you're stuck off, you feel deactivated, you feel shut down, you feel lethargic. It's not just enough to do mindset work, because it's not just in the mind, it's in the body, and you have to address it where you're being controlled, which is essentially in the nervous system. And this is also why things like meditation or mindset can sometimes make it worse. If you're in a shutdown response, it can actually exacerbate all of those feelings of hopelessness, aloneness, like it's not working, well, I don't even matter, it doesn't matter what I do, it never works. And I tend to be someone that can experience that. So I've learned a lot about the nervous system and how to either up-regulate or down-regulate, and what I need and what my clients need depending on how they're feeling. If a client comes to me and describes what they're experiencing, how their body feels, some of the behaviors and actions that they're taking or not taking as a result, I can instantly tell what stress response their nervous system is in and what they can need in a somatic body-based way, nervous system-based way to help regulate and then be able to take action. So that's the second piece, is we are actually addressing patterns where they begin, patterns with money, patterns with sex, like attachment style. You wouldn't think that any of that actually has anything to do with your sex life, your money, how you show up in business, but it does. It absolutely does, because it's all universal and connected. So if you have a tendency to, and it's a lot about sensation, right? Like, this is why we do a lot of body sensation work in my world, because a lot of the times we are uncomfortable with a high amount of sensation in our body, or specific sensations, the sensations of scarcity, yeah, but also the sensations of wealth, the sensations because it doesn't feel safe. If you're used to something and it's familiar, like if you grew up like me in a household where you were used to stress and scarcity around money, you're going to actually have to do the work to create safety with money, with having money, with holding money, maybe even with keeping and spending money or saving money. Everyone's different. And again, I can tell what clients need depending on what they describe to me. So we address patterns in that level. We create safety with your body being able to hold higher amounts of sensation and experience it as neutral or even as pleasure. The next piece is identity work, but specifically slowly becoming the identity from the inside out over time, with your nervous system at the core, right? So we look at who does my client want to be? Like, who's the woman she wants to be? Who do you want to be? And how does that feel? Like, what are the results that you actually want? Who's the woman that you want to be? When you think about 6 months from now, a year from now, whatever, who is that version of you? How does she feel? What are the results that she has? And how do you think that's going to feel? And we start to reverse engineer. So we look at, and some of this means that we also have to dismantle some of the misconceptions that you might have, what you think is required to get there that actually isn't. How you think you're going to feel might actually not be how you truly will feel. I've definitely had clients where, they wanted a desire really bad, and then through going through the process of working to become that woman, found that it wasn't a desire they actually wanted. They didn't think it was going to make them feel how they wanted, but now they actually feel how they want to feel because we focused on that. And then new desires, more true and aligned with their soul desires, were able to come through and change the trajectory of their life and ultimately give them results that were way more fulfilling and enriching than if we had just continued to kind of bulldoze our way to the original desire. So we look at, who do you want to be? How does that version of you feel? Prioritizing the feelings in the body, feeling them every day as sensations. So if you, for example, want to make a certain amount of money and you envision making that amount of money and you think you're going to feel relief or relaxed or peaceful or free or turned on or secure, what does that feel like in your body? Is there something you're already feeling in your life that you could describe as that? Where do you already feel secure? Where do you already feel turned on? Where do you already feel wealthy, relaxed, peaceful? Is there something you can pull on and resource it from? But we start there in the body with the sensations and the feelings. So if a client comes to me and she says, well, I want to make, X amount of money, and I want to feel relaxed, and I want to feel fulfilled, and I want to feel magical, then her number one job is to feel relaxed, fulfilled, and magical, and let that influence her behaviors and her actions. Because when we focus on how we feel and who we're becoming first, the results, like the money, the tangible results, are inevitable. It's a matter of when, not if. And sometimes we get surprised and delighted and it comes in faster than we can imagine, which has absolutely happened. I had a client that a few months in working together, she secured a position. She had been trying for years to make 6 figures in her business, and she secured a 6-figure position in another company. And it was because she was willing to tune into, who's that version of me that's making 6 figures? How does she feel? And we focused on that, and that actually meant, I'm never going to sit here and be like, the way that you think it's going to happen is 100% the way it's always going to happen. I've learned my lesson on that way too many times, and it actually is boring as fuck when it's like that. Yes, you are a powerful creatrix. Yes, you can do all the sex magic and journaling and things and powerful rituals you know to do, but sometimes the results take a different pathway. It's always this or something even better. So in that example with the client, she was able to secure a 6-figure position. She got her desire. It just happened in a different way. And when she released pressure around it needing to happen in her business, and she was actually willing to just focus on what she wanted and how she wanted to feel, the pathway that it happened might have been completely different, but it happened in a way that was perfect for her, that she needed at that time, and was actually supportive of so many other things that were kind of like crumbling away for her very beautifully and yes, painfully at times, but she had a lot of changes happening. And so for it to actually happen that way was so divinely guided and led to so much more richness when she did finally step back into her business. So we hold the energy of this or something even better. We're willing to surrender because I said I want it and I think it's going to happen this way. Like, we let go of the how. Like, you are responsible for taking the actions as they come through for you every day. But you're not responsible to hold a vision and cling to it. You get to hold the overall outcome. But if you're like, well, it needs to happen this way according to my 6-step plan, you are going to be in for a world of pain and you are going to suffer a lot. And I'm saying that from 10 years of experience and a lot of suffering that I experienced and clients experienced from doing that, from clinging and being like so tightly clutching to it has to happen this way. So there is a level of surrender that comes in with my clients, right? We have to be willing to, yes, we're going to take action. Yes, you're a powerful witch and a powerful bitch, and you're going to do the things you know to do. You're going to hold the energy of your desire happening, but you're also going to trust that the goddess has you, that your soul has you, that everything is working out behind the scenes and beneath the surface, and that sometimes your desire might come to you in a different package, or it might come to you in a different way, but it's always going to be this or something even better. So slowly becoming the identity over time so that it actually is sustainable and stabilizes, because something that I experienced was that I made 6 figures in my business for the first time before I feel like I truly held a 6-figure identity in my body and my nervous system. And that journey was how it needed to happen. But that also meant that I spent the money very fast because the identity did not have time to catch up. And so going back to, we address patterns in the nervous system and we slowly become the identity, does not mean that we're saying no to quantum leaps, by the way. We accept quantum leaps, we accept magic and miracles, we are open to windfalls and steady streams of cash. We are open to all good things, whether it's in your sex life, your business, your creativity, your money, whatever. And we understand the beauty that happens in slowness, that happens in like sustainably building your identity to match something, so that you actually feel like you are that version of yourself, not just like, oh, I got a result, but I don't feel like that version of me inside. Because I've seen this so many times, and I felt it a lot in the beginning stages with money. I don't feel like my identity was so solid because I was doing identity work from a mindset perspective, but not from the way that I teach now, where it's like, we're doing rituals, we're looking at your behaviors, we're addressing the patterns in the nervous system, we're looking at the feelings and the body sensations. Like, we are going into the body, into the nervous system to lock that fucking identity in, to lock those standards in, to lock those boundaries in, to lock this version of you in, and to actually allow her to come from within you. And then from that version of yourself, you take the actions. You know, have the behaviors, you make the decisions, whatever it be. And so I would feel like everything was a fluke or random, because it was like, yeah, I made this result, but I don't feel like I was sustainably holding that version of me inside. I still didn't see myself that way. It didn't feel, and it's not always going to 100% feel that way, right? That's part of growth. There will be a stretchiness for sure, and you have to be willing to get kinky with it and get off on it. And in my world, we value taking our time with our desires. We're not just here to rush. Yes, I've had clients get their desires like that within weeks or months of working together. I've had clients have results literally just moments after sending me payment because they stepped into that energy. Like, all of it's possible. We open to possibility and magic. And again, we honor our human bodies in the process. So we look at, how do we create safety in the everyday life by tapping into this identity and living her out every day? Another thing that I notice is that we will sometimes have these misconceptions. Like, when I originally thought about the version of myself that I pictured making 6 figures or even making $1 million, I see myself as a millionaire one day. I will absolutely get there. And I'm still kind of working through the layers that think that I'm going to be like a completely different person when I'm a millionaire. And I had the same misconceptions around making 6 figures. I thought like, oh, I'm going to dress like fancier. I'm going to live in like a big mansion. I'm going to drive this kind of car. I'm going to have this kind of bag. And I found that through my journey that there's been a refinement in my desires. Like, yeah, are there certain fancy, luxurious things that I want? I love bathing in red wine. I would love to have, like a YSL bag. I would love to be able to go out to fancy dinners and have spa treatments and all of that. But I also am me, and I get to be me in that process, and you get to be you in that process. So we get to look at, the part of me that thought that I had to drive like a BMW and have a Chanel bag and wear like pantsuits. Like, it's not really what it's about, right? Like, I'm a mom and I have cats, and half the time my house is a fucking mess. Even when we had a house cleaner, my house was a fucking mess because I have a child. Like, you have to let yourself as you are, and you are going to change. Because if I look at myself 10 years ago, I dressed completely differently. I spoke differently. I wouldn't be living in the house that I'm living in now. I wouldn't have the relationship I have now. I wouldn't, there's so many things about me, my personality, the things that I have and own that came as a result of those changes over time. But if I thought that in order to be a millionaire, I basically had to be a version of myself that actually makes my pussy pucker up and be like, oh, that's not really me, then I'm never going to let myself get there. Instead, I have to tune into what's right and true for me. And you have to do the same for you. And sometimes the only way we know whether something is right for us or not is to let ourselves have it and then refine from there. So we look at, how does this version of you think, dress, behave, and we start to slowly bring that into the day-to-day, because that's what allows you to sustainably have results and also keep those results too. Because I know that you're not just here for random results, for it to feel like a fluke. We want it to be sustainable. The next piece, number 4, is we bring pleasure, eros, and kink in. And this is because pleasure allows us to create safety with change. So I want you to think about a result that you want to have right now that you've never experienced before. You've never experienced it consistently, because sometimes, for example, if I have a client that has made 10K once, but she hasn't made 10K 5 times or 10 times or 20 times, she's made it once, but it's actually the inconsistency, right? It's the making of it consistently that is unfamiliar to her. She's done it once, that's familiar, but it's not familiar to make it 5 times, 10 times. So a result that you've never experienced before, you've only done it once, to do it consistently, would be unfamiliar to you. And when something is unfamiliar, it's unknown and it's considered unsafe to our nervous system. That's all. It's just new. So we want to actually create familiarity and safety. And we're already doing this with the 3 other things I've mentioned, by the way. We're creating familiarity with the version of you and the actual tangible results themselves by doing ritual and ceremony, by addressing the patterns in the nervous system, by the identity work that we're doing that's based in the body and also in your mindset, yes. But when we bring pleasure in, if you were in true danger, you would not be experiencing pleasure. So if there was an actual wild animal or an attacker coming up to you right now, your body would go into survival mode, run fight or flight. So you'd either attack and fight, or you'd run away, or you might even shut down, go into freeze response, or fawn. You might try to appease and disarm and de-escalate the threat by becoming kind of chameleon, appeasing to them so that they don't harm you. Except that most of us are experiencing the same level of danger. Your nervous system is seeing that 10K month, that 20K month, that painful client, that devoted lover that worships you more than anything when you grew up in a household where your parents hated each other or there was abuse. That is so unfamiliar to you, the idea of a partner worshiping the ground you walk on when you saw your parents treat each other like shit, right? All these things, when they're unfamiliar, even if it's a good and positive thing, our nervous system sees it as a danger, as a threat to protect against. So it will put you in a stress response, a survival response, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And so we want to be able to kind of, get in there and rewire that response and create safety. And one of the fastest ways to create safety is pleasure, because if you are experiencing pleasure, it automatically signals to your nervous system that there is no current threat. You are safe. So, obviously I'm a sex coach, so a lot of the work that I've done over the past 10 years has been based in pleasure and the erotic. And I find that my clients come to me because they want that energy in their lives. Whether they want to make more money or they want to, have more success in their business or whatever tangible results They also want to be having deeper orgasms, hotter sex. They want to feel more magical. They want to feel more turned on. They want to be able to get kinky with some of these challenges in their lives. So we bring pleasure, eros, and kink in because obviously it just feels really fucking good and it's a priority. So this might look like, I have my clients, I teach something called erotic headmistress mindset work, which yes, is mindset work, but it also brings in the erotic, it brings in kink, it brings in the nervous system, it brings in a lot of the things I've already kind of mentioned, but it's a way of basically being the mistress of your own mind and doming your negative thoughts, doming your doubts, and flipping the script on them so that you're actually thinking thoughts and beliefs that are in service of your desires, not in service of your fears and your doubts. We also obviously do rituals like sex magic, where we are taking that erotic energy, we're building more erotic energy in the body, and then we're directing it towards a desire, directing it towards ourselves, directing it towards our health, directing it towards money, business success, art, relationships, whatever it is. I also love teaching like kinky shadow integration as a rapid path for transformation and change and results, where we have these unconscious parts of ourselves that love being trapped, secretly love being trapped in the bondage of our pattern. So if you've ever had a pattern in your money, in your sex life, in whatever it is that just keeps repeating, and you're telling yourself constantly, I fucking hate this, I'm so over this, why does this keep happening? One perspective that we work with is obviously it's familiar to you. Your nervous system keeps recreating and repeating it because it is familiar. And we will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. I don't remember who said that quote first, but I've heard it over and over again in the personal development world, and I love it. So whoever said that, credit to them. But I also love looking at, existential kink. Like I love Carolyn Lovewell, previously Carolyn Elliott's work. And obviously as a sex coach and someone who's always been into kink, like for a long time, I love looking at this perspective of we have parts of us that actually like it this way, that benefit from it being this way, that find comfort in this pattern, that are getting some kind of reward from it. Whether it is like, you're staying safe because it feels comfortable, or you're getting attention, or you're getting love this way, or it just, there's a part of you that secretly fucking gets off on it. We play with all of that in my world. We have a very kinky philosophy, and it shifts things fast, because if you can get off on a pattern that you feel trapped in, that you, like most people spend their whole lives feeling powerless and victimized by their circumstances. And therefore they suffer as a result of feeling that way. And then they just keep recreating the same shit. And then they feel victimized by it. And then they suffer because they feel victimized by it. They feel powerless to it. And they, pretend that they hate it. And so they continue to suffer and they're miserable. But when you can take a situation that repeats that you feel miserable in, and actually find a part of you that can experience it as pleasure, that can get off on it psychologically and somatically, you become the person that is no longer suffering, right? You become free. You become turned on. Like, imagine having that in your fucking toolkit, being able to take a challenging situation and break free from the bondage of it by actually enjoying the situation. Now, obviously, there are nuances to this because sometimes we have inner child parts and we have to process emotions, and, you can't apply this to every single situation because sometimes we're just not meant to. But I love working with my clients around like those repeating patterns where they're just like, I fucking had enough. There's obviously a part of me that is really getting off on this. So we do a ritual or a practice where that part gets to come through and enjoy it for what it is. And when I tell you that it changes things, it really does, because I do this all the time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're on number 5, which is we use transmutation through erotic energy. This kind of builds on the last one. So we will transmute your doubt, fear, jealousy, comparison, scarcity, whatever it is that you're feeling that feels like really heavy and icky in your body, and you're just like, I don't want to feel this way anymore, or it feels like it's holding me back. It's stress and scarcity and fear and doubt and comparison and not enoughness and too muchness. Like all of the emotional charge that you feel, or if you're jealous of someone, or you're comparing yourself to someone, or you don't feel good enough, we will take all of that energy and we will transmute it using erotic energy and pleasure, and even ritual and witchcraft for some of my clients. We will transmute it into power and creative energy. So that creative energy can then become money energy. It can become attention. It can become visibility. It can become whatever it is. It can turn into a tangible result. So we take all of those feelings, and through somatic practices and psychological practices and erotic energy, we then take those feelings and we change the form of those feelings from a very dense, heavy, uncomfortable, painful experience to something that feels more light. There's more levity, there's more playfulness, there's more openness. You might even be turned on by all of it. I mean, the amount of times that I've taken a situation where I felt jealousy or comparison or scarcity or doubt, and I was spiraling, and I was able to get turned on and transmute that, and then I'm taking actions left and right. I feel so good. I feel powerful, and then I'm creative, and I can actually take actions that are in service to what I want and who I want to be versus just the fears and all of the unconscious patterns. It changes everything. And then you can take that erotic energy, which transmuted it into creative energy, and then you can direct that towards a desired outcome and reality and result that you actually desire. So we will do transmutation through erotic energy, through breath work, through movement, through all the different means that I teach inside of my courses, inside of my private coaching, to take that energy and shift it into something. And this is why, every time a client shows up to a session, or if it's a mastermind call or a group coaching call or a private session, someone or multiple people might show up and just be like so heavy, whether it's about the state of the world or something personal they're experiencing. Could be scarcity or fear, or, they just had something happen that feels really challenging. By the end, like after I've had, my time with them, they always walk away feeling more empowered and turned on, and like anything is possible. Like poof, the situation is it's obviously still happening. We can't erase things from our memory. We can't change that something did happen, but we can change how we feel about it. We can change the way that we respond to it. We can change our experience of it in our bodies and in our lives, and the dynamic that we hold with it. Because if you feel like you are in a powerless dynamic with it, we can shift that so that you almost take on the dominant role. You're the dominatrix of it, and you are the one in power and control of that dynamic, because you can change how you feel about it and how you respond to it and how you choose to experience it. And we don't, again, just do that as a mindset. It's in the body. Like we're literally changing the form of the energy. I can take my clients from highly charged, like level 10, freaking the fuck out. I can't see straight. I can't focus. I feel so dysregulated. I'm so anxious, or I'm so shut down, or whatever it is, right? Different stages of dysregulation. And by the end, they're just like, oh, I'm so turned on. Like anything feels possible. Like that was so good. I needed that. I feel powerful. I can go take action in the world. That is absolutely a byproduct of my work. So the final piece, I'm sharing 6 things that lead to results every single time. And these are from my personal experience and 10 years of professionally supporting clients and students. Over 1,700 women that I've served through coaching, rituals, courses, master classes. The final piece is that we focus not just on external results, but internal results. The result is it's not just about the external thing. So there is no way that you can't apply all the things I've already shared. There's no way that you're not going to change and grow and transform and be blown away by who you've become if you actually implement everything I've already shared. So we don't just focus on the tangible result. We don't just cling to it. We celebrate all of the little baby steps. We focus on who we're being and how we're feeling. And therefore, the results do align. The right results, the aligned results, the results that actually blow your fucking panties off because they're that amazing. So we're not just focusing on like, oh, the external, how much money I've got in my bank account, how many sales I made today, oh, I woke up and nobody bought, or, you know, my partner said this about me, or we haven't had sex in a week, or this thing's going on. We don't just ruminate over those. You don't use your bank account, the amount of sales that you've made, how many times you've had sex, how many orgasms you've done, or even the number of times you've done your rituals. Like, we don't use anything externally outside of you as a measure of your success or your happiness or your fulfillment. Those things are the cherry on top of who you're being and how you feel and how you're being. But we focus on the internal more than anything, and we celebrate all of it. Yes, I have clients where, you know, we really need to ramp up their ownership over the external stuff. Own that you had that much money come in. Own that you made that many sales. Own that you finished that program, or you know, got your PhD or whatever it is. But also, let's focus on the internal. And this is why we also regularly celebrate and brag in my world, which is a tool I learned when I worked with Mama Gina in New York City in Mastery in 2019, where we take ownership over what we've created and who we've become. So I have my clients celebrate all the time. They send me wins, they send me gratitudes, they send me celebrations. Even if their brain is like, I have nothing to celebrate, I'm like, okay, feel your feelings, but then send me 3 things that are working, even if your brain says that they're not. And when we are training ourselves to look for what's working, you will get results because you're automatically opening up your brain to look for more evidence. You're training it to look for more evidence of how things are working. And that's the type of mentality that creates not only one-time results, but consistent, sustainable results, which again, I know is what you want. Whereas if you're like, oh, nothing's working, I didn't make enough money this month, so that means that I'm a loser. It's not going to feel so good. And you're going to be collecting evidence in favor for that versus evidence in favor for what you actually want. So I'm going to just recap the 6 things that lead to results for me and my clients every single time. Again, we're not guaranteeing that just because you come to me and say, you know, I want to have 6, I feel like this more needs to be said with like financial results or like certain specifics. You know, if a client comes to me and is like, I want to have, you know, vaginal orgasms, or I want to have, you know, a 30-minute extended orgasm, or I want to have a breast orgasm, that to me is like, if you continue on, you're absolutely going to experience that. That is possible. But in terms of money, I never know. Like, we can do all the things, we can do all the journaling, we can set up your systems and structures. And like, obviously with my clients, we're taking external actions. If my clients are coming to me around money and business, we're going to look at your content, your messaging, your marketing. We're going to look at your systems and your structures. We're going to look at how we can automate things and set up like simple funnels so that you can have more money coming in. We're going to look at the things that we need to look at so that you actually are opening yourself up for more money and sales, but that you're also enjoying the way that you're running your business and making money. And we're going to shift the whole relationship with money from the inside out so that it feels more sexy, relaxed, and secure, and you actually get turned on by money and enjoy the way that you're making money. And prioritizing like rest and pleasure and relaxation time and living your fucking life, because that also matters. Like, my clients aren't just coming to me to work fucking hard and struggle and suffer their way to a life they might have one day. They are here to live now. We focus on living now, and we do that now every single fucking day. So again, not guaranteeing that you're going to have this result by X time, but do I believe that you're going to get this or something even better? Yes. Whether it's in the time that we work together or sometime after that. Again, everyone is a unique soul. And there have been plenty of times where I've worked with a mastermind or a private coach myself as like a client, where maybe I didn't get the tangible result that I wanted in the container, but I got it 6 months later, 3 months later, a year later, 3 years later. Because I trained myself to be like, I'm getting what I need out of this container, and I'm also focused on the internal. I'm focused on what's working. I'm doing all these things that actually allow me to one day be able to hold that result sustainably. So to recap, ritual and ceremony, both bigger rituals and everyday rituals that build and hold the groundwork for your desires and who you want to be. 2 is we address patterns in the nervous system, and we increase your capacity to hold and have what you desire through the nervous system and the body sensation work. 3 is we slowly become the identity from the inside out, from like the nervous system out, so that version of you that you see yourself being when you have the thing, you start becoming her now, day by day, every single day. You start slowly dressing like her, eating like her, fucking like her, making love like her, writing your posts from her. You become her every day so that it is a locked in version of you, and you become familiar with that version of you. Also, side note, a very fast like manifestation tip that I have for you is when you do this internal identity work, when you do the nervous system work, the pleasure work, you're going to get the results faster, because those results are associated with that version of you, and they're associated with those feelings. So when you are in that version of yourself and you're feeling those feelings now, you are collapsing time between the desire and you, the tangible result in you, the money in you, the lover in you, the hot orgasms in you, like whatever it is, right? The dream home in you, because you're already showing up as the version of you that you associate with that. You're already feeling the way you think you're going to feel when you have it now. So they magnetize to each other a lot faster. Now, fast in quotes, because again, we don't know what your journey has entailed, but that's the fun thing. And that's part of like the kinky mindset, is like, oh, the anticipation, instead of it being like, oh, why is this taking so long? And like, I encourage my clients to feel their feelings. My clients get to throw little pity parties. They get to be all victim-y. They get to be like Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka and be like, I want it and I want it now. My clients throw bratty tantrums all the time. I welcome all of the emotions. I don't believe you have to be high vibe. I hold space for my clients to be moody, sulking, like hissing in the dark, demoness. Like, I'm going to just turn on Lana Del Rey and sulk in the dark. Like, you get to be exactly as you are and receive money and receive what you want. But anyways, slowly becoming the identity. The next one is bringing pleasure, eros, and kink in. The next one, number 5, is to transmute all those like heavy feelings and emotions, using erotic energy into power and like creative energy and momentum and mobility, like your ability to actually take action and build momentum, because that momentum can then carry you, and it creates more and more and more and more results where there's flow, right? I feel like there was something I was speaking to around like the capacity. Sorry, I'm like literally just started bleeding today and I am all over the place. So if some of this is unclear, it's also unclear to me because my brain is like, but yeah, we increase your capacity to hold all of the good stuff that, even though it's good stuff, it's still unfamiliar. We create safety and familiarity with it so that it is familiar and therefore safe, and you will actually let it come in and stay and be sustainable. So we're constantly increasing your capacity to hold more of what you desire through erotic energy work and also the nervous system work. And then the final piece, again, is we're not just like obsessing over, clinging to, attaching to external results or it having to happen the way that you think it has to happen, like trying to over control and micromanage it. We bring in surrender, we bring in trust. A lot of my clients will work with like, their own soul or like goddess, or, I work with Mary Magdalene and Lilith. I have clients that work with, Mary Magdalene or Hecate or Lilith or whoever, or the goddess or whatever it be. So we're kind of calling in, those guides, goddesses, deities that we're working with, or their ancestors. We do ancestral work in my world as well, where I have my clients connecting with their lineage and their ancestors, and the unseen realm. We can tap into it for not only connecting to like a future version of ourselves, it's also in the unseen world, because past, present, and future versions are always happening simultaneously in the quantum, and the quantum is absolutely part of the unseen realm. So, but number 6 is we are focusing on the internal just as much as the external. Yes, we're looking for external evidence that we can bank as evidence. Like, it's working. That person liked my post. That person signed up. That person did this. Like, my lover said this to me. We had hot sex tonight. Like, I felt pleasure for the first time in my pussy that I have in years. Like, we look for the external evidence and we bank it and collect it and we celebrate the fuck out of it. But we're also just as much focused on like, the manifestation is not just about the results. The greatest manifestation is actually you and who you become and how you feel. You are the motherfucking manifestation. You are the prize. You are the end result. It is you, the woman that you become, who you be and how you feel. It's not just how much money you're making. It's not just how many orgasms you have or how many clients you have or sales you make or whether you get that job or you live in that house or you drive that car or you have that outfit or whatever it is, right? Like, all that stuff is great and we love it in my world. We embrace the fuck out of it. We want that shit. We do. And you as a woman, as a soul, incarnating into your body in this lifetime, like one of the greatest moments for me as a coach was, and this has happened so many times, but I'll use a more recent example, is when one of my clients messaged me and told me that she did something, like she interrupted a pattern that she usually would behave this certain way and therefore take that certain action. She didn't do it like that this time, and she was so proud of herself. And that level of pride that she felt was like so worth anything. Feeling proud of the way that you show up, feeling turned on by who you are, deeply, genuinely loving yourself. And I'm talking about all the gnarly, deep, dark parts of you, the parts that get jealous, the parts that are bitchy and gossipy, the parts that are like, fuck you for being successful and not me, like loving all those parts, but also loving just who you are in a positive way. All of that it's gold. It's so fucking priceless. It is worth everything. So if you're like, I want some of this, you can follow these steps. I do have one spot open in private coaching right now. So if you're like, I want to do this with you hand in hand, step by step for 6 months, I have one spot open for private coaching for a woman. This is going to be a very ritualized container. So yes, we'll do coaching and mentorship and like sexy spell work. We'll do all the things I've mentioned here. We'll also look at practical stuff, with many of my clients, if they're focused, like if they're an entrepreneur and they have a business, we will talk about money-making activities. I will look at their content. I will look at their sales pages. I have programs all about it that if you do one-on-one with me, you get access to, that help you write hot content that converts and really speaks to clients who are ready to buy now and all of that. Like, we look at all the things. We look at how they feel about money, how they can make more money from a more relaxed place. We look at all of that and the tangible, practical stuff, right? This is why I'm such a fucking powerhouse for my clients, because I have 10 years as a sex coach. So I can help you have orgasms, vaginal orgasms, G-spot orgasms, cervical orgasms, like orgasms out of your fucking hands, toes, feet, neck, wherever, third eye, whole body, without touching yourself, from breathing. But I can also help my clients make more money and feel better about money, take their stress level or scarcity from here to almost non-existent, to regulate their nervous systems, to set boundaries in their relationships, like all the things. So anyways, I have one spot open for one woman. Yes, we'll do all the practical thingies, but we will also do ritual together. So you have 3 sessions per month, 60-minute sessions, and every session is kind of different. Sometimes my clients and I will plan a session where it's like, okay, you want to go over your sales page together? Let's do it this session. Or sometimes I'll just look at it in my own time and send them feedback over Telegram. Depends what they want out of it. And then a lot of my clients, though, even if we planned a session, they might show up and be like, okay, I know we were intending to do that, but this is what's alive. This thing I'm experiencing in motherhood, or, I really want to talk about like, this thing, or sex magic, or I want to do shadow work on this today, or I'm noticing that I'm really bumping up against like, not feeling safe to have more good stuff. Or some clients show up and they're in absolute meltdown mode sometimes, and they're like, I really just need you to like hold me through this and like let me tantrum and let me cry and then like, support me through it. So every session is kind of like whatever's alive to you, but we are obviously working in the day-to-day through Telegram and the sessions to get you to where you want to be, the version of yourself you want to be, feeling how you want to feel, and yes, those tangible results. I will help you create a plan for how to get there. And then going back to step 6, where it's like, yeah, we'll create a hot, sexy plan where pleasure is baked in, with how you want to feel is baked in, with the type of life you want to live is baked in. And then we kind of release control. We're not going to be attached to it. I'm not going to be like, all right, you're showing up today, Stephanie, and you want to make 20K months, or you want to sell out this launch. So you said you wanted this and now we're going to do this today. Like, no. I will make sure that I'm holding you accountable for your goals and your desires. But again, what is most alive for you when you show up to session? What is most alive for you when you send me a Telegram message? That is always part of the process. If you want to make a certain amount of money, or you want to increase your business growth or your visibility, or you want to blow up on TikTok or whatever it is, or you want to have, hotter sex, or you want to have cervical orgasms, we don't have to talk about it every single session for you to get that result. Because part of this is also what you're doing behind the scenes when I'm not there coaching you, holding you in ritual or whatever, right? So you will be supported in that. This is why I give my clients access to my programs. So I already have programs where I teach you how to have cervical orgasms, or how to make more sales in your business, or how to write hot content that converts, or how to change your relationship with money or make more consistent money. Like, I have all of those already created so that I can be like, all right, you're experiencing this, go watch this lesson from this course, go do this practice from here, especially in between sessions. So I just realized that I need to get off to pick up my daughter. But one spot open for one-on-one. It's $3K a month or $17.5K pay in full. You get 3 60-minute sessions a month, daily Telegram, Monday through Friday. And I really show up in Telegram for my clients. So that's where a lot of my clients get some of their best coaching. The sessions can be ritual, it can be coaching, it can be mentorship. It really truly is fucking limitless, and it's whatever you need in that moment. And I am really good at seducing it out of my clients. How are you feeling today? What's going on? What do you need? What are you working through? How can we use ritual? How can we use the 60 minutes today to support you with whatever you're experiencing, so that after the 60 minutes, I can't guarantee that every time you're going to be floating out of there on a cloud of rainbows. It does happen often. But it's how can we at least get you to neutral, if not more turned on and feeling empowered by whatever's going on. And a lot of my clients are already very powerful women that can start shifting things anyway. So most of the time when they show up on session, sometimes there's emotional charge and all of that. But usually they've already kind of worked through some of it, or they've sent me a Telegram message. And so we can actually use the session to kind of work on something more specific, or just ground into whatever it is. So you get access to my courses. There's a 90-minute bonus erotic rebirth ritual. I also have bonuses if you pay in full. You get a whole extra month with me, calls and Telegram included. Also, if we have other 31 days in January. So you've got 6 or 7 days left for the January bonus. So if you become a private client and you sign up for this spot, you can get an extra month in Telegram with me, which is the January bonus. So you get 3 60-minute sessions, Monday through Friday, Telegram all month. We have an opening call to kind of make that plan, find out what your patterns and sabotages are, get clear on who you want to be, what your desires are, and then we have a closing ritual to celebrate and reflect on the entire 6 months together. So if you are interested, just send me a message. There's no pressure. We will have a very no pressure chat. If you know that this spot is for you, I have one spot open. I go deep with one client at a time. So message me, especially if you want to have an extra month in Telegram for free. So you have a potential to get 7 or 8 months of work with me for the price of 6. So send me a message. We can absolutely get on a call if needed. I'm here to support you, because as much as I want to make sure that I have a right fit for me client, I also want to make sure that I'm the right mentor for you, and that what you are wanting is something that's in my wheelhouse, it's something I feel comfortable doing, that I'm turned on by. I am, yes, really great at what I do. I've got a lot of skills. I can help people shift things fast because I've got a lot of practice, and you are in charge. I am here to support you, to hold you, to help you. All right, send me a message. If you're like, I want to start with something free, just check my bio link. I've got a 15-minute dark feminine practice, and I have my 2-hour more money, less stress masterclass. But if you want to be a one-on-one client for the next 6 months, send me a message on Instagram, and we can either talk back and forth there through voice note, text, or we can get on a call together next week and talk about it, because I would love to gift you with an extra month for free of Telegram if you sign up in January.